Imagine seeing things that aren't really there. Faces in the walls, eyes staring from paintings, objects shifting when no one's looking. What if it wasn't just your imagination? What if you could see things no one else could? That's exactly what happened to me. And the worst part, the moment I realized I wasn't crazy was the moment they realized I could see them. As a kid, I was terrified of everything. At night, the walls seemed to shift. Faces forming in the patterns. Branches outside my window slithered like snakes, and piles of clothes looked like lifeless bodies. Even ordinary objects felt sinister. Lamps became eerie heads, and car grills grinned at me with wicked intent. Sounds were just as bad. Creaking doors moaned, the wind howled, and the floorboards let out heavy, ghostly sighs. I believed monsters lurked around every corner. Turns out, it wasn't just a wild imagination. I had a condition. It's called chronic overactive pareidolia. You know how people see faces in clouds or shapes in tree bark? That's pareidolia, an instinct humans evolved to detect hidden predators. But for me, it's cranked up to 16. I see things that aren't there, everywhere, all the time. Over the years, I tried 6 different treatments. The side effects were brutal. Some meds made me irritable, others hyper-focused, and one knocked me out completely. By 18, I was struggling through school, convinced I'd never hold a job. Drugs that barely kept me functional also gave me uncontrollable tics. I drop things, trip randomly, even wake up gasping in the middle of the night. My mum had to add handrails just to keep me safe. Then, everything changed. One Thursday, at a job placement office, I met Teresa. She was an older woman in a heavy coat, and she seemed to know all about me. She offered me a job, one that paid well but required secrecy. The only condition, I had to stop my meds. Desperate and still reeking from a trash can I'd knocked over, I agreed. A week later, off my medication, I could barely function. My senses were in overdrive. Teresa picked me up and drove me to a secluded site, a yard with old trailers, a command tent, and heavily armed guards. There were medics, security teams, and crates covered with tarps. The atmosphere was tense. They strapped a heart monitor to me, gave me a headset, and told me to step inside an abandoned house. My job? Describe what I saw. First, everything seemed normal. Old furniture, a dusty carpet, a silent TV, but Teresa pushed me. Tell me what you really see. In the bathroom, my stomach dropped. In the mirror, something moved, blue eyes flashing behind me. I spun around, but nothing was there. Heart pounding, I reported it. Blue eyes. It had blue eyes. Teresa urged me forward. Trembling, I backed into the living room. That's when I noticed a painting. 2 women crossing a bridge. But something was off. The longer I stared, the more it blurred, the colors swirling into something unnatural. Hidden within the artwork, I saw those same blue eyes watching me. And then, I knew. It wasn't just a painting. It was something else. And now, it knew I could see it. Teresa's voice crackled in my headset. Get out. Now. I didn't hesitate. As I stepped outside, security personnel rushed past me, storming the house with weapons and containment gear. Medics swarmed me, checking my vitals, shining lights in my eyes. Someone handed me a pill, and I swallowed it without question. Teresa sat beside me, calm as ever. You did good, she said. You're done. That was my first job for them. Over the years, I was called in a few times a month. Each mission just as strange. The paycheck was enough to start a new life. I learned more about their operations, the patterns they watched for, like blues, signs of contamination in flowers, paintings, even teeth growing from walls. When they found these signs, they didn't hesitate. Entire sites were wiped out, burned to the ground, or destroyed with explosives. What was I seeing? I still don't know. But Teresa and her team, they believed my eyes held the answer. 1 week before Christmas, I witnessed something I'll never forget. 6 men with flamethrowers setting fire to a greenhouse. To them, it was just flames consuming plants and glass. But to me, it was something else entirely. I saw bodies writhing in the fire, heard screams in the shattering glass, and saw tormented faces with hollow black eyes glaring at me. For over 2 years, I had worked on 33 different cases, stepping into places to find things hidden in plain sight, but I never really knew what they were. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse, a shadow darting past, or piercing blue eyes staring from across the room. Each time, I reported my findings and left. It could be anything: a chair, a fridge, a window. Once, even a music box. This time, we arrived at a house on a rainy autumn evening. The area was already secured, yellow tape fluttering in the wind. A for sale sign lay knocked over by a jeep. I went through the usual routine: blood samples, wrist tags, heart monitor. Just another job, though my nerves still flared. "No blues?" Teresa asked. "None," one of the armed men confirmed. "Single tango," she pressed. "First report said 6. Now it says 1. Could be runners," she muttered, then turned to me with a reassuring tap on my shoulder. "In and out. You got this." I stepped inside. The house felt eerily empty, just slanted floors and dusty furniture. I checked each room, waiting for that creeping sensation, the moment when my eyes would see beyond the ordinary. But nothing. 20 minutes passed, and still I saw nothing. Frustrated, I reported back. "We're still getting readings," Teresa said. "Something's there." Doubt crept in. Was I losing my ability? I stomped around, checking again. Finally, I sighed and walked to the window. "I'm coming out," I announced. "The place is empty." As I stepped outside, I knew something was wrong. Every single person was staring at me. Their expressions, some blank, others grinning unnaturally, felt off. Then, I saw Teresa. She emerged from behind a jeep, smiling too widely, her eyes glowing an unnatural blue. One by one, the others' eyes flared the same way. And then, the disguises fell away. Their smiles stretched too wide, teeth too sharp, fingers elongating, necks twisting. Silent, they advanced. The wind itself seemed to scream at me to run. I slammed the door behind me. Faces pushed through the walls. Doorknobs turned to hands. My reflection in the mirror grinned back at me with no jaw. More doors appeared. More windows. The house was shifting, trapping me. Desperate, I sprinted to the guest room. There had been only one window. Now, there were 2. I had to choose. I picked one, bracing for pain. Instead, I burst through into the cold night and ran. Branches clawed at me, the wind howled like laughter. I ran until exhaustion took over. When I finally collapsed, I swore I felt them closing in. But when I looked, I was alone. By the time I got home, every contact from my job had vanished. Phone numbers, emails, all gone. Hatchet by a Technica, it doesn't exist. And Teresa, I haven't heard from her since. So I'm telling this now, anonymously. If you know me, reach out. And if you don't, stay observant. Trust your instincts. It might just save your life. What do you think was really happening? Were these creatures always around us, hidden in plain sight? Or was something far more sinister at play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories that'll keep you up at night, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more terrifying tales from Creepy Hive.